Welcome to the Airflow Podcast. I'm your host, Ricky Thomas, and this is the place where Kingdom heirs go to be informed and inspired. So sit back, relax, and flow with me. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Airflow Podcast. This is Ricky Thomas, and I'm excited to be back again for another one. A lot has changed since the last time I was able to record. Let's see, I had to turn 45, so blessed to see another day. Another year. Always blessed to see another day every time I wake up, but blessed to see another year. My youngest son started back to school, so he's starting 7th grade. My daughter's going back to college, which is a huge thing, and that's a testimony, huge testimony. So, I know she's been itching to get on the podcast, so, I don't know if she wants to share her testimony, but I'm going to get her on here because that's a big deal. So she's going back to school and also playing basketball. So that was a pleasant surprise. But just so many things going on in life. Good things, a lot of positive things. Life throws the challenges at you. And, that's why I wanted to call this one Better Days. I just think it's interesting. A lot of times when you think about getting caught up in present circumstances. And I was listening to, I think it was a Kurt Franklin song recently. And he was just like, don't let your present circumstances impact your tomorrow. Something like that. But I mean, we've all heard that before. And every time I hear that, it's like, yeah, it's easy for somebody to say that, and it's encouraging. But when you're in the middle of the storm, I've had times, where it's just like it's sunny as I don't know what outside, but you just feel cloudy. It's like, just something just ain't right. And so when you really start thinking about just better days and why it's significant, because what you're going through right now is not going to endure. The Bible's scripture that says, weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. Some of us have been stuck in the nighttime. We've been stuck with that sort of mindset or imagery that, it's night, it's always dark. But just understanding really where we're going and where things are. I'm like, I just think about life is moving so fast. And I take steps back. I take a step back from time to time just to reflect. I'm thinking about like our middle child, our oldest son is graduating high school this year. Like I said, daughter's 20, she'll be 21, back to school. Youngest is, a couple years out from high school. So, about to be a teenager, 13, in a couple months. So, I mean, when you really start looking at it, it's like, man, I got a lot to be thankful for. I got a lot to live for, but just dealing with the challenges of life. Like, man, I'm experiencing things at my job that, not uncommon to most of us. We all have those challenges at work, and challenges just in family and just different things going on. So you just take a step back and really just start thinking about it like, man, what's going on? Why do I feel so heavy? And I've shared several times, you just get to that point where you just get the weight is so much and you just get so drained out. And I was listening to this song today, matter of fact, by Corinne Hawthorne, and it's called Cry. And the reason why the song caught my eye, because I was working out and the beat came on, and it's, kind of, it's kind of a stripped down version of one of my favorite Tupac songs, which is Dear Mama. And so it's got that guitar riff on it from Dear Mama. And so that when the beat comes on, I'm like, man, I kind of caught it. But then I started listening to the lyrics. I'm like, okay. And she's basically just saying sometimes you just got to cry. Sometimes you just got to let that out. holding on to that weight. And I've shared that so many times about that weight builds up. And it doesn't mean, and I'm speaking to the men out there, it doesn't mean that you're weak because you cry. Sometimes we just got to get to ourselves, and you may feel like you don't want to cry in front of your family, whatever the case may be, but it's important that you got to be able to let them emotions out. Like, we going through a lot of stuff. And it's not just men, but just in general, people, we deal with so much. And so that's what Better Days is about. It's like, there's always brighter days ahead. And it's always going to be a brighter day. The sun does come out. And that's not an Annie reference. That's just life. The sun does come out. The sun will shine. You will get over it. We're going to lose people in this journey called life. Sometimes we lose people tragically. Sometimes we lose people for whatever the reasons are. But we lose people along the way. And sometimes it's hard for folks to get through that. Better days will always come. Pain is sometimes that pain is there, and it always that, or it's a void that's there. But better days are coming. We just got to get up each day, and I start really reflecting again, like a lot of people do around their birthdays, especially as you start to get a little older, and I know 45 ain't old, but it's, when I look back at myself when I was 20 something and imagining like, man, I wonder what my life is going to be like when I get in my 40s. Here I am 45 and I'm like, man, if you think about it, based off of my calculations, and I'm trying to live to see 120, I'm a third of the way there. I'm a little over a third of the way there. But, I want to live as long as God has a purpose for me to be here. But I want to make sure that I do what I need to do for my family and that I'm meeting the purpose that I have. And that's why I know every day I wake up, sometimes it's painful. Sometimes, it's a mental push to do it. Sometimes it's hard to get out that bed. Sometimes it's hard to go drive into, wherever work is. Sometimes it's hard to have that conversation with your child who, may be a little wayward or experiencing things that you're trying to help them through. And it's just, you just want time to just sit in the bed and just pull the covers over your head and just think nothing. And that's that's where we get sometimes. I mean, it is, and we have to take that time, and it's nothing wrong with that. But really just thinking about embracing, and I talked about it before about embracing the journey that life is. We are going to have challenges. Everybody's going to have challenges and setbacks, but life is going to be what you make it. Whatever lens you're looking at through life, whatever the lens that you're taking to look through life, that's what's going to be there. Whatever you see is what it's going to be. Sound like a preacher. Whatever you see is what it's going to be. But it's kind of like that. People say, the power of the tongue. It's the power of the tongue. It's what you say. It's what you envision. And, I know people say, I can't help what I think. But sometimes you just got to cancel those thoughts out. Like, you got to see yourself in a better spot. It's hard when you're in the middle of those challenges. It's hard when you got, drama with your baby mother, your kids doing this, your wife, or whatever the situation is relationship wise. Things aren't just what you expect them to be. There's drama. There's the balancing of, I got work stuff. I got this, I got that. I'm trying to be the man that I need to be, or the woman I need to be for my family. And it's a hard act to juggle. It is. But finding that optimism, and taking that optimistic view on life is very important. And I think sometimes, we choose the pessimistic views. We choose the negativity, and somebody told me a long time ago, it takes the same energy to be negative as it does to be positive. It's all about a choice. And sometimes when you're in that mode of, you feeling down or angry and feeling pity, you just take that pessimistic view on everything. then you snap out of it and you back to, hopefully you snap out of it and you're back to that positive, optimistic view through difficult times. You ask yourself, why am I dealing with this? Why am I going with that? Why is this going on? Think of it positively. God is setting me up for something big. Okay, I see this challenge coming on. I had my pity party. I felt sorry for myself. I got down a little bit. I had to shed some tears. And hey, I'm sitting here. This ain't no light-skinned moment, being all emotional. But I've had moments, where I've shed some tears just because I needed it. It was cleansing, actually. And it got me back on track. Sometimes it's when I work out. It's after I work out and I've had a long day at work and just a lot of stuff going on. And I'll hit the gym and just exercise. And, sometimes just that adrenaline rush and just getting the blood going and getting off of, sitting in front of the computer all day and just going through different challenges and things. And it's like, man, just to exercise, put on whatever music you need and just go. Like I've been doing that. I just got back into it. Took a couple of weeks off for different things. And I allowed my work life and just other things to stop me from exercising. But then it's not just that, it's praying, taking time to pray. So our church, we're doing this fast right now. And, I gave up certain things, it's like, I'm not going to do sugar. My wife and I both were like, we're not going to do sugar, no bread, no fried food, obviously make sure we pray and everything. And I had started before the fast, but I've really just been in the car. Like when I'm driving, all I'm doing is listening to gospel music. And it's nothing abnormal. I go through periods where that's all I want to hear. I'm just feeding myself gospel music, inspirational music. When I work out, I listen to it, and people are like, how can you work out to that? It's a long time ago, I found out that sometimes that gets you going more than the other stuff, the party music, the hype music, the rap music. And I still listen to it and it gives me what I need to. But, when you going through those kinds of challenges in life, like, and you want to talk about better days, sometimes you have to surround yourself or put yourself in an environment to where you can step back. And in the corporate world, we say, I'm too much in the weeds. I got to pull myself out to be, get to a high level, to pull myself out of the weeds so I can really start directing things. So as a leader, if you've ever taken leadership courses or been in a manager role or, supervised people, if you're there doing the work that everybody else is doing, who's the one leading the team, who's guiding everybody? It's okay to jump in there and do it, but sometimes it's the same way with your personal life. You're trying to go through and figure out things and do this and do that. Sometimes you gotta elevate. You gotta pull yourself away, whether it's, taking some time to fast and meditate and pray and just go into a different place. I've mentioned before I mentioned this before a lot, but go into, renting a hotel room, go into, if you got a different room in the house that you normally don't go into, like put yourself in an environment where you can just shut off all the noise, turn the phone off or, turn it off to silent or whatever you can do and put yourself in an environment where you can do some reflection, step away from the problem because you just staying there. And I'm not saying, walk out on your family. I'm not saying, but sometimes you just got to put yourself in a place where you can think and you can, sometimes just be silent and just meditate, just reflect, put on some music, whatever you do to get into your positive mindset. If it's going to get a massage, if it's going to, whatever that is, that puts you in a place where you can relax, you can chill, you can pull away from what's going on, the day-to-day issues, and just say, you know what, let me take some time to reflect. If you can take a vacation, and again, that's why I go back to the hotel thing. Even if you just find a decent hotel somewhere, just where you can go tonight, if it's by yourself, be safe, for the ladies out there, be safe. Don't put yourself in a position, but that's going to be harmful to you. But, if you can go somewhere, just get away from the house, if, whatever you can do, that's going to put you in that place of where you can get cut off. Not saying not cut off, but you can cut off the world just for a moment. A sabbatical. That do something to get away. That's why we take that's why my wife and I take vacations, man. That's why we get away when we can. I thank God for blessing us with the resources to be able to do it, when we can, when we do it. I'm thankful for that, because it's allowed me to do so much more, and to be able to really reflect. Like when you get away and you just start thinking like, man, we are really blessed, and you get recharged, you get rejuvenated. It's like, okay, I've been working hard, and I got to really think about what's important to me, because you see the memes, you see the post about people talking about, a job. We put so much time and we kill ourselves for a company, for a position. And if something happens to us, I'm not going to use to get hit by a bus, but if anything happens to us, I've seen it where somebody has passed away, and, before they even before they actually pass away, they know they're not coming back to work again. That job is going to be filled. The company's going to find somebody else to replace you. So, while you may have importance from relationships and what you've done, they're going to look for other people that's got the same skill sets or better, and keep things moving. The world is going to continue to move on, whether we're in it or not. Now, our impact will determine, how we're remembered. People are going to keep going. So why not take time to reflect, pull yourself out of those challenges? So again, you can see that there are better days. You can take a step back and say, yeah, it's a little gloomy right now, but I can see the clouds are moving. I can see that there's sun out there. I can see the sunshine. Sometimes it's just getting away and reflecting, man. The mindset, man, I don't know how many times I talk about just the importance of a positive mindset and how it can really truly shape our experiences and just shape the outcome. If you don't want to, and for those, I figure most of my, most people who listen to me, they know who I am, and my connection, my relationship with Christ is very important to me. So, if you're not a Christian, but you believe in, positive mindsets, you believe in, the secret where, what you put out in the atmosphere, whatever you believe in that, that power of whatever you put out there comes back to, reciprocity, all those other things, it's based off the Bible. But again, what you say, what you speak is what you are. And there's a lot of science and you can look at science, you can look at, religion, from a spiritual thing. All of those things are tied together to where it puts you to a place where if you whatever you focus on, that is going to be what you attract. So what are we attracting? And I've seen it so many times where I see people just constantly speaking on situations in a negative way. And again, sometimes people just got to have that pity party. And you know who those folks are. People who they kind of talk themselves into something, and then they pull themselves back to say, okay, all right, I just had to get that out of my system. Now I'm good. Let's go. Let's get this moving. Let's get it going back in the right direction. And sometimes you got to give people that space. You can't just immediately cut them off. Let them work through it if you know the person, but that's based off your relationship. But don't let anybody speak or put their negative thoughts and feelings on you and project that to you to where now you're questioning, is this going to get better? Like I said, I'm going back to the stuff I'm dealing with work. I'm like, man, this got to get better. It has to. Like I can't function in dysfunction like that. I can't, the drama, all the other stuff, but I'm not here to run. And that's the other part is, I'm not going to run from it. And what you'll start experiencing, man, with God will help you to get over the mountain. He'll help you to go through the mountain, or he'll just move the mountain completely out the way. But either way, you're going to come out better on the other side of it. He's going to get you to the other side, no matter how the mountain has to be moved. But you just got to have faith to know that that's going to happen. and that experience is going to it's going to boost your faith. So that's where wisdom comes into place. That's why, it's important, as in, I guess I'm an old head, but it's important for us as we start to get older to draw off of the wisdom of those that we have good relationships with, that are older, wise, and they've experienced some things, because they can share based off of life experiences. Like, man, I've gone through all these things, but I know for a fact that it's going to get better. It's tough, but it's going to help shape you and make you stronger for the long run. And those are the things that we've got to make sure that we're passing down to the next generation, because it's easy. And I catch myself doing it a lot of times. It's so easy to kind of put that tag on the new generation, to say they ain't never been through nothing. They ain't never had to experience anything. Well, the generations before us, they said some of the same stuff about us. They ain't have to experience, segregation. They ain't have to experience, dealing with all the civil rights stuff. I mean, we come in, my generation came right after that. Right after the generation of those folks that dealt with the civil rights. And their parents probably said something about their parents. And now we saying it to our kids. Like, y'all ain't have to experience that. Y'all got all this technology and all that stuff. I'm like, look, these kids are facing a lot. And sometimes it's easy to just write them off. I'm just going to tell you, better days are coming with your kids. I can speak from experience. And I know there's people that have more experience, and I know there's people that have different situations that have happened, and their experience wasn't the best. But I can speak from a positive part of it, and I can say, based off of what we've experienced in our family, that you can come out on the other side of that, and sunlight does shine, and it's bright. You know what I'm saying? So it's really about making sure that you speak life into the situation. You can speak life or death. There's no in between. You're either going to speak life or death. You're either going to be positive or negative. There's no in between in that. And once you realize that, those kind of things really help to reshape your mindset. Because if you really truly bought into the fact that, there's no gray area, it's all black and white. It's either it's going to be this or it's going to be that. And you have the power to control that. That's really where you start getting to renewing your mind. That's when, you start seeing the turn. And it sometimes it can be quick, and sometimes it's a process, because again, a lot of us, you got to think, when we've been programmed to be the way we are based off of our experiences. There's some spiritual things that are tied up in that too, that we've been exposed to, spirits that we've been exposed to. There's family things that we've dealt with, sometimes you don't even realize that you don't even realize that those spiritual things are there, but it's warfare on that. It's easy to start almost taking that victim mentality, that you take that victim mentality of it. It's like, well, it's just going to be what it is. That's how my mama was, my daddy was, that's how this and that. And then you kind of embrace that. And then now you make it into a tradition. You make it into, this is a generational thing that's just part of that's just how our family is. This is how we are. That's how the family is. That's okay. Instead of somebody being the oddball and just saying, no, this ain't good. This ain't good at all. Now people can have conversations about, you see it more and more, and I'm loving to see it more and more amongst our African American community. But more and more now, you're seeing people saying, yeah, I've been seeking professional help. It's a different conversation now, because you're changing that narrative. Like, man, I've seen generations of families destroyed for just ignorance. I was on a call just yesterday. We were talking about, doing one of our family members, one of my cousins, Never met him in person, but he's been doing these calls, these Zoom calls. And he started tracing our family history through ancestry.com and just hearing all this stuff. And we had a cousin that joined, who made a connection through another cousin that lives in New York, who set up ancestry.com and essentially found out that there's a whole different side of our family that lives out in California that we didn't even know about. Like, you start finding all these different branches, and it's crazy. And the reason why I'm going there is because there's friction. There was friction, years ago, like that none of us really know about, but that separated part of our family. And you start hearing some of the things, it's like, man, why? But those are those generational things. It's like, it's family members all around in different parts of the country who probably have met each other, didn't even know it. And generations are being kind of cursed of not being able to even know who your kinfolk are, who your people are. You can be living right across the street from you. You come from a small country town. It's possible. So, really start looking, as I started thinking more and more, I'm like, man, that's cool to see how our bloodline, if I have Indian in my family, what tribe did we come from back in Africa? You start wondering, like, where does that look? Where do things go? But people would take certain traditions, like, no, we didn't do this, or, this family came, they were poor, they were this, they were that. And so that just kind of generationally kept going. And there's always that one person who stands up and is a disruptor of everything. And then they make a difference in their family and changes the trajectory of the other generations. We heard about that. I heard about that in the call. We had a family member who, owned land in Alabama, was freed as a slave and bought land from their slave owner. So when you start hearing stuff like that, it's like, man, they went through slavery. Now, we got slavery in a different way. It may not be whips and chains, but there's financial bondage, other, spiritual bondage, all that other stuff that we deal with now. And it's not minimizing any up or down, old school slavery or the current stuff through technology and other things. But, what we deal with is things that we've got. There's a blueprint that we can overcome that. We can overcome any dark situation. But it's a decision. Better Days is about making a choice. Doesn't mean that you don't have difficult circumstances. I mean, and that's the thing, that there's you either find the silver lining. You find, I mentioned before, you don't lose. There's a lesson you learn. There's always going to be a difficult circumstance. None of us are going to go through life without having difficulties. There's no promise of that anywhere. So we have to, I don't want to say you prepare yourself, because some people get so jaded that they think the worst of everything. And that's not what life is. That isn't living. Nobody wants to live life like, I'm just so emotionally void that I'm not even thinking about, so-and-so died. Oh, well, yeah, everybody's going to die. So whatever. Like, it's okay to show emotions. Like, sometimes we don't even want to show emotion now. And you see why some of these kids and some of these folks are so numb about things. Well, I mean, technology, as good as it is, it's numbing us to death. It's numbing us to, I was telling somebody the other day, I remember when Jerry Springer first came on, I was in college. So again, that's telling my age. But I remember when Springer came on, and for those who don't know who Jerry Springer is, he had a talk show that used to come on. And well, it wasn't really a talk show. It was kind of a fake scripted talk show, I guess, which you found out later on, but it was Shock TV. He was a shock jock. They would have people come on there and they would just do all kind of crazy stuff. And people, like, we watched it. We were in college watching it, adults watching it. Everybody was watching all these crazy things that was happening. A lot of it was fake, but it was just so crazy. But then it started becoming reality and people started seeing it more and more. And so it started being less and less shocking. You started to expect, oh, well, I know this person gonna wind up, oh, they sleeping with that person. So, just sidebarring on Jerry Springer, but you start being so jaded about things, or you start getting so used to it, you're immune to it. It's like, oh yeah, that's normal. Man, these kids are so used to seeing their friends or their peers or people their age dying from different things. And it's like, man, how many tears do I have? We're burying people at a crazy rate. So, again, when you start thinking about just life and what people are experiencing, like, it's a choice. Like, sometimes it's hard. People choose whether they want to get up. Like, you got to choose to live. And that's where you start seeing the better days. There's always going to be those moments of time where, there's a glimmer of sunlight, just a little sliver, and that's just God saying, you're going through this, but you don't have to stay in this. You're going through it. I'm going to help you. Here's a little light just to let you know we're going to be good. And then as you continue to learn and from those difficult circumstances, you start growing and you get sort of gratitude and you get this strength. And there's always going to be positives. There's always a positive side to everything. And I know some people, when they're going through it, they don't want to hear, like, man, you always talking that. I don't want to hear that positive stuff. I want to be mad right now. Sometimes you just got to back up. Don't let nobody do nothing crazy that you care about. But, sometimes you just got to back up. You can't be that person that's like, oh, it's going to be all right. Like, man, how you know it's going to be all right? Like, it's going to be good. Sometimes people want to hear that. You just got to know your audience. You got to know the situation. But it's nothing wrong with continuing to encourage people. Encourage yourself. I have to encourage myself quite a bit. And it's not because I've just come to learn that people are going to be people. We're not perfect. We all go through things. I tell my kids that all the time, man, we all go through stuff. You ain't the only one going through it. And that don't minimize what you're going through. But people are hurting. People are hurting out here. So it's an opportunity to really start, looking at how I can make that choice. What do I need to do to make that choice? Do you even realize that you made a choice to be negative? Some people don't even realize it. And that's the scary part about it. They've been living life this way so long in survival mode, they don't even realize that they are, their thought process is messed up. You hear people say stinking thinking. Well, that's kind of what it is. So, you start looking at those setbacks, and it is an opportunity for self-discovery and personal development. How many people have been let go from a job, and that experience, as rough as it was, helped them to be better. So when the next opportunity came along, they were prepared. They were better. They knew what mistakes were made, or even if it wasn't necessarily, their fault, the experience taught them of how to maneuver through these kind of situations. Now, the next time they go through this, they know what to do. They know how to handle it. Now I'm a better person. There is a concept of post-traumatic growth. And I see it so many times. I've seen mothers, read about mothers who have lost a child, parents who have lost children. That's one of the hardest things that I can think of. I thank God I haven't lost anybody. I lost my kids, but I couldn't imagine. But I've seen how they turn that pain into a positive. I've known parents who have lost children at a young age, and they just completely shut down. Marriages end. I mean, how many? I don't know the statistics. I have to look that up, but I'm sure that there's not positive statistics on marriages that last after the loss of a child during that marriage. But you hear stories about it all the time. So there is a concept of post-traumatic growth, but it can lead you. It's going to challenge you, and those challenges can lead you to newfound growth. newfound strength. And that's what living is about. That's what it is. That's how you get to be stronger. It's not a special formula. Sometimes it's just experience and the willingness to allow yourself to feel those emotions and then move to the next place. It's all about a choice. You can choose to believe in God or you can choose not to. You can choose to get up and go to work. You can choose not to. Now, what comes after that it's just going to be what it's going to be. But it's a choice. It's a choice. You know, people say, well, it's a choice to be rich. It's a choice. Well, I mean, sometimes there's other things in there, but you can choose to again, you can choose to be a victim. And sometimes there are circumstances. There are always circumstances. Everybody experiences circumstances. Some people experience, and I say everybody experiences difficulties. Everybody experiences challenges. Now, we know that there are systems that are in place or there are systems that are out there spiritually, financially, physically, whatever you want to call it. There are things out there that don't have everybody's best interest at heart. And so it makes the challenges a lot more difficult for other folks, for some people. And I get that. So we're not going to minimize that. We know that those things are out there, but there's still opportunities. And what you have to learn, and what I had to learn, is I have to be better at using my faith so that I can have the favor needed to navigate through those situations. So when I have problems on my job, see, I don't go to work and I'm the angry black dude. I don't do that. I don't get on there and I start, going off, but I also don't take this victim mentality and I want people to feel pity for me. I don't do that either. Because at the end of the day, I have to stand on why am I in the position I'm in now? Why do I have the job that I have now? It wasn't because I'm just the smartest guy or because I'm the best employee. I had favor. God to bless me with that. I had to do work, of course, but it's the favor that I have on my life that God has blessed me with. So I can either choose to minimize that and that appreciation and just do a woe is me, or I can just say, okay, God, I'm here for a reason. Thy will be done. Let's get to work. And sometimes it's hard. I have meetings now that I don't want to go to. I dread them. I had one on Friday. I had to step away from my computer and go to a dark place. Not dark place mentally, but I had to go to a dark place in the house with no lights and just gather my thoughts. I really had to do that to calm my nerves down and just say, okay, God, I had to talk myself off the ledge a little bit, because I was like, man, this is a lot going on, a lot. And it is a lot, but I had to go back and say, okay, God, I'm here for a reason. What is it that I need to be focused on? What is it that I need to be doing? You have me here for a reason. And, what happened. I got through it. Nothing was bad. I had favor in the situation and, it's still work to be done. But I had to breathe again. But it's like, okay, I can choose to stress. And now I don't have to stress. I don't have to worry. I'm not being nonchalant. But it's a choice. If I have faith and I believe, I don't want to see anybody hurt and I don't want to see any difficult situations. And trust me, I've had moments where you worry about the kids, you worry about the spouse, you worry about this person or that person. And I just got to learn, like, man, I got to get this to God. Like, I can't sit here and continue to beat myself up. I've watched people who have worried their whole life to the place of, where that mental drama and stress start to manifest in a physical way. Cancer's forming and all this other stuff. And these healthy people, you get people who hearts are just stopping. They just falling down. They just falling out because you don't know the weight that they carry. They're not even talking about suicide. And you have that. And it's not, and it ain't just it's people that's broke. It ain't people that's broke. It's people that's rich. They got all this stuff, but they empty. Empty. But there's always those inspirational stories of people who had those rock bottom moments. They didn't think that they were ever going to get out. They were in a dark, deep, dark place. And they were able to get themselves out bit by bit. And they share inspiration. They share about their experience and how, things started coming together. They just made up in their mind, like, I got to get up and go. During tough times, there's always a glimmer of hope for better days. There's always a glimmer of hope. We just got to keep our eyes open. When it's dark, we can't close our eyes and walk through life like the movie Bird Box. We can't close our eyes and wrap them up and not see. Like, we got to open them. We got to understand that. Look around. Sometimes you got to look around in your mess and look around in your situation and say, somebody really wants me not to make it. The enemy really wants to take me out. Because in my right mind, I know I wouldn't be thinking the thoughts that I'm thinking. I know I wouldn't be feeling the way I feel. But I do. So imagine what is the enemy really trying to keep you from? What am I trying to keep myself from? What am I blocking myself from? The enemy just sitting there and throwing little booby traps here and there, and we just falling for them, and we getting ourselves into a place where, we blaming the enemy. Enemy like, I guess I'll take the credit for it, but we doing it to ourselves. So again, it's important for us. Start setting goals. What are those things that you can look forward to? We talk about vision boards. And vision boards are very important. And it doesn't have to be just for material things, but it goals. And when you have goals and that means you got something to work towards. You got something to look forward to. And then that goal, you achieve that goal. And then there's the next goal. And you get these moving targets and you go place to place and you move from goal to goal to goal. And your life is changing and you're seeing things happen that in your dark place, you didn't know you were going to be able to do it, but you started going towards that little glimmer of light. You started to embrace change. You started to take some risk here and there. You're like, what do I have to lose? I'm going to get out my comfort zone. I don't like to interview. I'm going to do some interviews because, I have been applying to this job forever. But one day, somebody reached out to me. And I was scared, but I did it. Everything went great. I got the job. I'm changing. I'm seeing things grow. I'm seeing things go to a better place. What do you have to lose? What do we have to lose? It's an option. Either we can have dark times or we can have better days. We can choose. We're going to have dark moments. We're going to have challenging moments. Yes. There's no sugarcoating that. Like I said, there's nothing we can do to stop certain circumstances from being what they are. But how we react to them, we have that control. And one of the biggest things to do, as we start to wrap up, one of the biggest things, I always say this, and I think I might have mentioned a little earlier, but the people around you are really going to help to shape you coming out of that darkness. You've got to have a strong support system. And when I say strong support system, I'm not saying in volume of people. I'm saying key people who you trust, who know you, and you know that they're going to have your best interest at heart. So you have a community of people who can collaborate, who can help you, who can come in there. They may have special gifts, and God gives those people to you. Sometimes he'll give you a perfect stranger who has your answer. It may not be your mama, your daddy, your sister. It could be somebody else, but you have to be intentional. First, you have to make sure that you're praying and you have the ability to discern that this is somebody that God is sending to you to help you go to the next place versus somebody who's sent to trip you up. And you start collaborating and you're building that brighter future. And that's important. It's important to have people around you, strong people. And you have to know that sometimes you can't talk to everybody. And that includes mamas and daddies and everybody else, because they may not have the mindset that you need to get to where you have to go. If you have if you know of a family member that you're very close to, but you know they don't handle good news or bad news well, or they don't handle challenges well, why would you go share your challenge with them? I know people want to vent, but you're just doubling up on it, because now they're going to be challenged. And then they're going to be speaking to the challenge and not speaking. They're going to be speaking at the challenge, or basically making the challenge worse. And then they're going to be taking it on. So now it makes it worse for you, because now you shared this information and you put somebody else through it. Now you got two people that's sitting there challenged. People love you. They're going to want to help you. They're going to feel some kind of way, of course. But then they also have to be, you got to talk to those people who can sit you down or point you in the right direction, or it's going to get you the right help. And it's okay with that. You know, you start talking about resilience. I mean, it's important to make sure that we got to be able to bounce back. And that's what resiliency is. It's being able to bounce back from setbacks. That's what empowers us. Like I said before, you know, these challenges, they're just opportunities for personal evolution and growth. Are you evolving? Are you taking the lessons learned from all these things? You know, as you continue to move ahead in life, are you learning from them? Because if you're stumbling over the same things over and over again, then that means God is trying to get you to grow in this area. And you can either keep taking the test over and over again, or you can learn from your mistakes and get better. It's like it's like ACT prep. You can take the ACT, see the parts that you've done wrong, get some help in those areas, build them up. So when you come back again, now you're better prepared for it. You got strategies, you've got tips, and you've got technique to be able to move forward. That's what it's about. You got to learn. You got to do the work. People can help you, but you got to be able to take and do the work. And you got to have a vision. You got to visualize, you know, what the better days are. What does better look like for you? Envision that. And then set intentions for the future. That way, again, when you're having those down moments, you look at that vision board. It's not just, and you look at that young child or those kids that you want to give the world to. You look at them and say, I got to get myself together, because I want to make sure that I can be there for them and I can do for them in a way that is the way that I'm supposed to, the way I was put here to do. It's so significant to be optimistic, because that's what's going to move you forward. If you're going to choose the other side, which is being pessimistic, then you're not going to move far. You're going to flatline. You're going to plateau, and there's not going to be any movement. So again, I want to encourage everybody, you know, seek out help if you need it. Sometimes there are challenges and there are situations that we're not meant to face alone, but you can't vent to everybody. Social media is not the best place to tell people things, because you're going to get responses. You're going to get people that's going to tell you things that you don't want to hear. Sometimes they do it as a joke, but they don't understand that the headspace that you're in. You've got to make personal connections. We have to make those personal connections so we can stay motivated and hopeful. I want all of us to live. I want all of us to live and experience better days. We've had tough times. We have. We all have. And that's the thing we got to realize. That you see somebody where they are today, and you're like, man, they ain't never had to experience nothing, but you don't know the journey. That's what makes life so great. It's not about the destination. To me, it's the journey over the destination, because if you keep living the way you're supposed to, you're going to go through so many destinations in life. You know, you think you're at the place that you want to be, and then it's time to go to the next place, then the next place, then the next place. And you're so focused on hitting that one major milestone, like, okay, I hit it. It's like, well, there's no time to celebrate, because guess what? I'm doing something else. Like, that's the journey. That's what we got to start embracing, is that journey. And that's how you get to better days. You got goals. You got something to look forward to. So again, I pray that what's been shared has been helpful. I just believe by faith, man, it's so much that we can look forward to. And there's so many things that the fact that we're here, there's so many great things that we can just continue to do for ourselves and for each other. You got a purpose. Find what that purpose is. Seek God. Seek help. Seek life coaches. There are people out here that can truly help. Do your research. Talk to other people who you feel like, you know, has your best interest, but may have experienced some things that you're similar what you're going, like what you're going through. And everybody's not like that necessarily. Everybody's going to have different outtakes on something, or have, you know, what they got from their experience, but they can share that and they can help you. Your kids will get better. Your spouse will get better. You will get better. Get yourself better first. Get yourself to the place where you need to be. And I guarantee you, things will start looking up. You'll start seeing that little crack of sunshine coming through them clouds. And so that lets you know, like, hey, even though I see the sun, I'm seeing all clouds right now in my face, I know that there's still a better view. I know that there's something else for me. I just got to weather this storm. So, again, I thank you all. I love you guys. Please continue to listen, subscribe to our podcast channel. You can go to airflowpodcast.com is our website. You can look us up, Airflow Podcast, at Apple Podcast. You can look us up on Spotify. We're on all the major platforms. Just look up Airflow Podcast. We'll be there. Definitely download, share, like, because, as I said before, your support means everything. And sometimes the episode may not be for you, but share with others. If it's something that I've said, and I pray I'm saying something that's going to help people, share it. That's support. You don't have to, I'm not asking people to buy anything. I do this because I feel like I have a calling to do it. I know I have a calling to do it. All I ask is just to share it. Share with others. And if I can help somebody, then great. If I can help you, then great. So I appreciate that. Continue to check us out. Got a clothing line, billionaireflow.com. That's BILLIONHEIRFLOW, billionaireflow.com. Got merchandise there. Check us out. Doing some revamping on that site as well. Got some new product coming out. So definitely come check us out. But I appreciate your support. Appreciate your time. And as always, you are a kingdom heir. And as an heir, you were created to flow. And that's flowing everything that God has planned and purpose for your life. So I love you guys. Take care. Until next time, flow on.